Hi guys, it's my pleasure to welcome you once again to yet another exciting edition of your ultimate news and current affairs show, The Pulse, proudly brought to you by Rovatel Media. I am Joshua Okata. Of course, sadly, in today's economy, the food commodity market is on the rise, especially the electricity tariff is on the rise, dollar is on the rise, and of course, students right about now are also exiting the country, and not just them alone. Doctors are leaving, and of course, business owners are closing shop. Everyone is leaving. And today we're asking the very hard question. Is Nigeria actually a livable place to stay, or is government actually doing enough? What's your take on this? Well, let's get into the conversation. And of course, to have this with me, I have Mr. Dakpo Adaramewa, who is a public affairs analyst and of course, a policy and strategy consultant. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
All right, now let's get into the conversation proper. But of course, we will be looking at the realities on ground, which has to do with, of course, the statistics and what the realities are. Now, what is your take as regards the situation currently? Is Nigeria, as it were, a livable place, or is government actually doing enough, given all that I've just enumerated in the last few seconds?
It depends who you ask, let's be frank, right? Nigeria is a very livable, in fact, Nigeria is an amazing place for a certain demographic. I mean, imagine being a sitting senator right now. Fantastic place to be, money everywhere, additional security, cars, every time you sign something, something comes out, a brilliant place. But for the average Nigerian, for the one who is just going about their daily business, running a small shop, it has never been this bad. It is a struggle. I would say we are blessed with the fact that we have faith and we are religious people. And in fact, that's all that people have right now. It's just faith. They keep praying and saying that tomorrow will be better. I was talking to a lady who was talking about somebody that she knew firsthand in Port Harcourt who sold one of her children so that she can feel, kind of medieval selling of a human being. She sold one of her child to another family that doesn't have a child, so that that child can live with them. They will feed the child, obviously, maybe use the child as kind of like a maid. But a parent made the decision to trade their child for money. And we can sit here aloof and judge such a parent that, who sells their child? But what she did was fundamental to the survival of the rest of the children and the rest of the family. And she didn't sell him into slavery. She sold him to somebody who is allegedly going to take care of them, So it's an unlivable hell. I wonder if other countries open their borders to Nigerians and people could afford the travel to leave, how many people would truly be left in this country?
Well, if you talk about the issue of varies from person to person, talking about if the country is actually livable or not, I try as much as I can to look at the numbers versus the reality. Of course, from government point of view, especially from various spokespersons, they tend to say inflation is gradually finding its way down and all that and all that. But of course, when we look at the realities, especially with regards to the cost of a bag of rice, or perhaps the cost of a liter of fuel, as it were, what would you say in your experience actually broke you, especially given the situation?
I would say the breaking point for me was seeing the desperation firsthand, what people are going through. I'll give one story in particular.
Yeah.
Somebody I know was involved in a motor accident. One of the people that was affected by the accident was carried along, and the person called me in a panic, and I showed up, and we went around with this individual. She had sustained trauma to the head, and we moved around Lagos to about 6 different hospitals, all the major hospitals, the ones in Ikeja, all of those kind of things, and there were either no beds or they didn't have the capacity to treat her. Eventually, we were able to find a private hospital that took her. We had to pay a lot of money. Eventually, the woman died. But seeing firsthand the reality of a person dying slowly and going from general hospital to general hospital and being told, see, there's no bed. At one point, the lady in charge told us that she's going to get the security to chase us out because we kept dragging with her. And while I was upset in the moment and thinking, what a wicked woman. How can you say that? How can you act like that? I realized that that's just a daily part of her life. She has to face the reality that I have so many beds. I can either focus my energy on keeping these many people alive or overstretch myself and risk all of them well-being. And she has just gotten to the point where she can't be sentimental about it. She deals with it every other day. There's no bed. So that's the reality of what people are going through in this country, right? And for me, a very heartbreaking experience, because I've been privileged to see both sides, if you will, of the divide, seeing people in government living large. For those of us who know a bit about watches, sometimes we see a senator on TV, and I'm doing the math in my head. That's $200,000 that this man has on his wrist. That's enough to build a hospital in his local government, right? So I'm seeing both sides, and it's just heartbreaking to see that why do some people suffer while those who can make a difference don't seem very interested in doing so.
All right, now let's look at this issue of people as it were jackbuying out of the country. At some point, it was tagged at 1.0. Now we are gradually seeing a situation where, aside from the youth, doctors are leaving, lecturers are leaving, to a point where business owners are closing shop.
Yeah.
Between 2025 and 2026, what actually happened? What was the change that made it 2.0?
2.0, I would say, is brought on by the reality, because many of the middle class are realizing, you see, we lived in a place where having a little bit of money gave you some level of protection from the harshness of Nigeria.
When you say having a little bit of money.
Okay, so I'm saying if you manage to stay in a gated estates, do you understand? There was a time when, that was okay, your kids will go to a nice school. You felt that the extremes of Nigeria cannot reach your side. But at one point, the middle class woke up and realized that the extremes of Nigeria is reaching their side. The insecurity is reaching their side. People are going taken from unexpected places and kidnapped.
Even monarchs were fleeing for their lives.
Monarchs are fleeing for their life. So all of a sudden, it got to the point where people realized, man, oh boy, this thing is hot. I mean, look at us in the Southwest, right? We had gotten so used to, 50 people kidnapped in Zamfara. And everybody's like, it's Zamfara now. Do you understand? Then all of a sudden, we wake up one day and realize they are picking people in Ibadan. And everybody's but this is the reality of the country. So all of a sudden, the net of people being affected by this thing has expanded so rapidly that the average middle class, or shall we say parent who has, like the doctors, the people who are somewhat comfortable, started looking at their children with love in their eyes and thinking, I don't want my child to grow up in this environment. And so that's why these people are driving out. I know people who work in top companies. I recently found out about somebody who I know that works in a very good company talking about jackpot. I was like,
So you reach your side after
He's reaching everybody. The lifestyle of everybody has changed. No matter how rich you were before, everybody has changed, right? Because, just running a business in Nigeria, you know how your customers are struggling. And you, at the same time, you are faced with increased costs of electricity or fuel. So you have to jack up your prices, and you are seeing some customers walk away. And it's heartbreaking to see how much of society is now being affected by these things.
Now, let's look at the actual reason for the jackpot, for instance. Initially, we used to know of people chasing, these very comfortable countries for the sake of greener pastures. Now it's about basic survival. Where is it for you?
It's a life and death situation.
So it's not about chasing greener pastures?
No. At this point, it's about survival. That's why, when jackpot first started, everybody was Canada, America. If you are really, really struggling, maybe you can consider the likes of Australia. But now you hear Belarus, you hear strange, you hear Nigerians going to Cambodia. Places that otherwise you would have thought, what are we looking for there?
The last time I checked, I saw a Nigerian in Iraq.
No, that one is...
What's happening?
Nigerian anywhere. Iran. I know there was one time when this Iran war started that the Nigerians sent a video of themselves being in Iran. Nigerians have gotten to the level that anywhere but here. Imagine somebody traveling, escaping Nigeria to an active war zone. That to show you what people's eyes have seen. But to understand the level of desperation, thousands of Nigerians still escape by road to try and get to Europe. People don't understand the hell that these people go through. If you watch any of the stories of people who have survived, you're talking about walking through desert, being led by all these human traffickers. Horrendous thing that makes you ask yourself that a country who is not at a declared state of war, for people to feel this desperate, to be able to go through hell and high water to escape this country, that the government, the leadership of this country is not doing well.
Now, as we land on the table of the government, let's give it to the people who have actually traveled the length and breadth of this country through very, dangerous means.
Yeah.
It's all for the sake of survival. Now, I want you to be very honest with me. Has the government really done enough?
No, we have to judge by the results. And, I'm not...
Looking at it from the policy, first of all.
Okay, definitely this government has gotten some policies right.
Oh, really?
But yes,
Okay.
but the impact of your policy is measured by the quality of lives of the individual. Do you understand? You don't put in place a policy without consideration of how people will be impacted.
Okay, so tell me one or two policies you think they've gotten it right.
We have a new government who came into power and did three things. One, they floated the naira, they removed the fuel subsidy.
Was there any removal of fuel subsidy?
Yes. This
Oh,
government,
really?
the first thing
So what about the issue of the change in name called energy security expenses?
Okay,
when you talk
yes.
about that.
No, that one is into their pocket. Do you understand? What I mean by the remove fuel subsidies, they remove the part that me and you were benefiting from.
Oh, really?
But yes, the fuel, so all those backhand, that one is for their pockets. You know, before what was happening with fuel subsidy was that the money was being stolen. Then among us Nigerians, they were giving us, say, 20%. Mona, knock that one off your fuel money, and they were shopping the rest. They have removed the one that we were getting. They have found a back alley way to keep their own. So when I say fuel subsidy,
it wasn't actually for a good intent.
No. They removed the part that Nigerians were benefiting from. And if it is done well, don't get me wrong, that's what I'm saying about policy. If this policy was managed well, we would be benefiting from it. We would all be benefiting, but we are not, simply because it's not been managed well. So you float the naira, you remove fuel subsidy as it is getting to the common man, and then you talk about increasing taxes. I like to keep Nigerians fresh that, listen, there was a bill passed to change the tax laws in this country that would drag in more Nigerians into the tax net. The reason why we are not yet feeling it now is because the election is next year. After next year, people will see fire. Yes, because they don't want to implement it to the fullest extent now, because
So not to lose out at the
so that
election.
they won't lose at the election. They passed the tax law, and nobody, apart from the corporations, nobody has really felt any impact. The common man that has been swooped up into the net has not heard anything from FRSC. Those of us that are transacting with our bank account, we've not felt anything. But I assure you, if the government stays in power, people will know the impact of that. So you do those three things without due consideration of how it impacts the people, without any actionable thing going directly to the quality. Okay, take for example something as simple as you are saving trillions in fuel subsidy, allegedly. Now, if we take a tenth of that, and we take the 774 local government, and we build one medical center in every one of them, let's just even say you spend $1 billion on each one. That's not even up to $1 trillion. It's not even up to half. It's not even up to 25% of what we save. And it was working today in the local government. Nobody will say Nigeria is not working. Nobody will be so opposed to this government, because you were to say, last, my local government, there's that clinic that my auntie went to and that my auntie is benefiting from. Do you understand? So you have a government that's so disconnected from the people to the level that they are even telling us, this is the shocking part, telling us that things are not bad. Right? We had a cardinal come out and say, oh, the things in the country are hard. And the government is saying he should shut up, that what he's saying is untrue. He's playing politics. It's like, I don't understand. Like, why are you so disconnected to the reality? Nigerians are suffering. We all know it. Why are you denying it?
Talk about minimum wage. Nothing to write home about. So at some point, we were seeing government coming out, sharing grains and all of that. How did that affect the life of the man who lives in Mushi, who lives in Oshodi?
You see, the whole idea of sharing grains is, I said something once that what we have built is a system that the colonial masters themselves either couldn't fathom or didn't have the cruelty of their hearts to be able to execute. We have created a system of suffering in perpetuity. We starve and enslave the people to the point that their brain no longer functions. Then you come and you sprinkle, like chickens, you sprinkle corn on the floor and the people jump around and dance and they're happy. People are suffering, but yet they bring out rice. And they do it every time. So it's like this continuum of always trying to impoverish the people and feed them rice. Impoverish people and feed them rice.
So to every problem, rice is a solution?
No, definitely. If you see somebody hemorrhaging in a hospital dying, just pour rice inside the wound.
Really?
That is the approach of governance. Just take a bag of rice, pour it inside their wound. It will seal it, and they will survive. And basically, that's what I have seen from this government. And my hope is that Nigerian people at some point will realize that these people are very mean.
Now, let's look at some other issues. Now, looking at local production, do you think that anything tends to be working?
In terms of local production, I mean, give it to Dangote. He has tried for us. Yes, he has tried for us, taking the risk that he has. Local production can only be achieved where there is power. Okay, so say, for example, I am making toothpicks. here in Nigeria and you are making toothpick in China. Now, me as a factory owner in Nigeria, when I'm bringing in the big logs, I'm felling the logs and I'm transporting them by road from the towns into the city, I will be paying little bits of settlement along the way. When it arrives at my factory, I have to generate enough power to keep that factory afloat, right? These are all costs that you in China don't have to face. So how am I going to compete? What you find is that because you have access to electricity, you have access to good infrastructure, you have access to a predictable system where you can access loans at a cheaper rate, I have to pay 30%. You are able to produce that toothpick in China cheaply enough for you to even pay the cost of shipping. And by the time it arrives in Nigeria, it is cheaper than the toothpick that I produce here with wood from Ekiti State. When the system doesn't work, when we don't have electricity, when we don't have regular and predictable policy, when we don't have a continuity beyond government, right? If you look at Nigeria, you realize that there's rarely anything that continues beyond one person's regime. There's nothing like, oh, we want to, okay, I think Goodluck started the trains, Buhari tidied it up. The current regime has really abandoned that. They say, oh, no, let's leave trains, let's start with road.
There's no continuity.
There's no continuity. Now, imagine if this government has said, okay, yes, Calabar Coastal Way, fantastic idea, but let's pen that for now. Let's develop the train infrastructure to the point that if I pluck a tomato in Jos, it will arrive in Lagos within 16 hours. Think of what that would do to the cost of tomato here in Lagos. Right? If the government had said, let's continue down this path and was able to eliminate the cost of the added cost of corruption, Nigeria will be in a much better place.
All right. Now, we're in a situation where everyone, the youth, the doctors, the lecturers, businesses who are closing up have looked to the government at some point in time and perhaps have met a brick wall. So now it's a situation of every man for himself. So that comes to the issue of survival, because obviously from what we have said in the last few minutes, it has shown that government really haven't done enough. Now let's look at the side hustle. Some Nigerians now are into crypto, some are into cooperatives, some are into all sort of businesses. Is it about the resilience or a proof that actually government has failed?
Nigerians are very resilient people. And I'll speak to something you said in the fact that we as Nigerians, we have a tendency to think, oh, it's every man for himself. Let me try and survive. Let me try and survive. And as a result of that, we avoid engaging in politics and the paths that can actually improve the country. And it reminds me of a story of, it's called Death in Tehran, right? It's about a man who had a farm hand, somebody that worked on his farm. And one day the guy's, doing the stuff at the farm, and all of a sudden he sees death coming and he panics. He runs inside, goes to go and meet his Oga. He says, Oga, I've just seen death coming for me. Please give me your fastest horse. I need to escape and go to Tehran. Tehran is the capital city. Say, I need to get away because death is coming for me. The Oga said, no problem. You're a good guy. Take the horse and run. Then the Oga stepped out of his house and then saw death and said, my brother, why are you chasing my person? Why are you trying to kill him? Death said, no, I'm not chasing him. That when I saw him here, I was surprised because I'm supposed to meet him in Tehran later this evening. So in the process of running away from death, he went to go and meet it. And that's what Nigerians are facing. Nigerians think that if I avoid politics, hey, let them not beat me at the polling unit. Oh, hey, no, me, I cannot come and die for anybody. Oh. They think they are running to safety. But what they are running to is that if they don't die at the polling unit, they will die in the hospital that is poorly equipped. They die on the road.
But every man wouldn't do politics. Just like a billionaire capitalist once said, someone asked, him the other day, yes, you've been, very much helpful in the lives of the youth. You've given them grants and all that. So why not go into politics and make a change? His response was that everyone will not do politics.
No, I'm not saying everybody should run in politics.
So are you saying now that the youth should leave their side hustle now and start doing politics?
No, I am speaking to simply the fact that every 4 years, we have the opportunity to pick a government. And last time we had that opportunity, over 70% of Nigerians that had a PVC, let's not talk about the people that didn't even register, that had a working PVC, sat down at home and did nothing. I'm not saying abandon your job and carry politics on your head. Me too, I don't want to abandon my job. I'm not a politician. I have my work. I prioritize my work. But what I'm saying is that this one thing that is coming, this election, I will do my own bit. And I encourage every Nigerian to do the same. It's just once every 4 years. Engage with this process so that you can get the leaders that will shape shape your country. I assure you, the Europeans are not more intelligent than we are. I had the pleasure of traveling to India. The Indians are not more intelligent than we are. I've been to China. I've realized they're not more intelligent than we are. In fact, many of their rural population in India and China are more savage than our own rural population here. They pee and shit in the streets. Forgive me for being so blunt. But somehow, they had the wherewithal as a people to ensure that when they got the opportunity to bring up the leaders that would fix their country, they did it. And once they did that, they could, to an extent, go back and rest.
So for anyone who is listening to you right now who do not have that wherewithal to jackpot, as it were, what would be your advice for such person?
Engage and do everything within your power. By God's grace, we will all be fine. But do everything within your power to ensure that the leadership of your country reflects your true desire, reflects a people that have the capacity. And the thing is, I always say that I have friends who are in the APC. I have friends who are in the ADC. I have friends who are in different political parties. Do you understand? And I don't have a problem with them. You are doing what you think is best for the country. That's fine. My own issue is with you that knows better and you sat down at home. Because you that knows better are the reason that the government is treating us like this. Yes. Yes, because you that knows better, had you come out, we would have a different government. And even if we had a different government and the government was messing up, this election too, we will change them. Me, I've not sworn my life to any godfather. Right now, I believe Peter Obi is the best for Nigeria.
What makes you think so?
Because I have looked at the capacity of the man, I've looked at the antecedents of the man and his commitments to Nigeria. I believe that what we need now is compassionate leadership that is not, too busy with corruption and can focus on the common man's good.
So 2027 is just by the corner. So what is your take as regards, making that change from your own perspective, from your own little corner?
I would advise people to engage and vote for the NDC.
Without conversing for a political party right about now. What do you think from your own corner? What do you think you can do to make that change happen?
For everybody?
Yes.
Everybody should engage with any political party. I had a meeting yesterday with a young man at about 11 o'clock yesterday. He was trying to map out his political future. He was talking about the APC. And I gave him advice on how to be impactful within the APC, how to go there and make a difference, right? So my proposing my own political party doesn't mean I cannot be friends with somebody. The problem is that people are trying to stay away from the whole system itself. If people are coming out and the politicians know that the demographic of people are coming out are not people you can buy for 2,000 naira, they will sit up. They want power. They are desperate for power. They want it. And they will do whatever they have to get it. Right now, what they have to do does not involve serving the people. And if the people engage, if more people engage with the political system, it will mean, why do you think the American politicians behave a little bit better? You think because they are morally better than we are? Look at Trump misbehaving like anybody else. See, I'm telling you, the Americans, the British, they are not morally better than we are. Their president, their leaders are not less greedy than our own. What those people just know is that there's a limit to which my people will take. So it curbs them a little bit. See, even Trump too, it's curbing him a little bit. He's extreme, but when he sees his voters will change it for him, he will calm down. So that's what Nigerians need to be like. They need to engage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dapo Adaramewa.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. All right. Of course, the program continues, but one thing we're going to leave you with is that as long as governance is concerned, no one has all the answers. But one thing is clear. Nigerians are truly tired of the country. And of course, what the people are craving for now is a country that thrives so that their lives could be prosperous. Of course, my name is Joshua Carter, and this is The Pause. Till come your way next time. Stay informed, stay alert, and of course, stay hopeful. See you next time. Bye for now.